What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, and today we're going to have our second part looking at the 2021 MLB trade deadline. Now, part 1 went up back on Saturday. Part 1 looked at the trades that were made between July 15th and 29th. In part 2, this video will only look at the trades that were made on the 30th or were officially announced on the 30th. As you will see, there were a couple trades that were rumored to have occurred on the 29th, but weren't officially announced until the 30th today. So, yeah, how I have this one organized is like the major blockbusters, the big 5 are mentioned first, and I have the smaller tier trades after. There will be some more trades. I will pin them in the comments below, the smaller trades that I didn't feel like were worth mentioning. So without further ado, we'll start with the biggest blockbuster trade that arguably has happened during a trade deadline in a while, as the defending champion Los Angeles Dodgers got right-handed pitcher Max Scherzer and shortstop Trea Turner from Washington in exchange for 4 players. So of course we'll start off with the Dodgers haul, and Scherzer will slot in as a top starting pitcher for the reigning World Series champions. He has had plenty of postseason success and will look to win his second World Series. Now, he wasn't too surprising to be dealt. Turner, on the other hand, was surprising. A report came out a couple days before the deadline that the Washington Nationals are willing to move any player not named Juan Soto. And never in a million years did I think Trea Turner would be moved. But here we are. Now, he is under control for one more season, and he may end up being the Dodgers' future shortstop. We'll have to see. Depends how he plays this year. Corey Seager, as you may know, is a pending free agent, and he's been hurt for good portions of the year. So Trea Turner should slot in. He's a great contact guy, great leadoff caliber player. Now, he continues to hit for his high average, and he can also steal a ton of bases. Now, Washington, in exchange for those 2 stars, got 4 players. The first one we'll look at is prospect catcher Keibert Ruiz. Now, Ruiz is immediately Washington's top prospect. He's currently in AAA, but he should and probably could be called up soon. And he's a great contact hitter who has solid but not spectacular power. Now, they also got right-handed pitching prospect Josiah Gray. Gray slots in as Washington's second prospect, and he's currently in the majors, but he was sent down to AAA by the Nationals. So he looks to be he has the possible makings of an ace, but we'll have to see, of course. He did decent in the majors in his brief cup of coffee for the Dodgers in the past couple weeks, but again, we'll have to see. He has a strong curveball and a very strong slider. Now, he definitely has the potential to be dangerous. Now, Washington also got right-handed pitching prospect Gerardo Carrillo, and Carrillo is Washington's 10th prospect now. He has a healthy mix of pitches and is more known for his slider than anything else. Lastly, they also got outfield prospect Donovan Casey, and Casey is Washington's 27th prospect. Now, he has decent pop, but he strikes out a ton. Worst case, he should serve as a defensive replacement off of the bench who can pinch hit when needed. Blockbuster trade right there. Next, we have another surprising trade that saw the New York Mets acquire Javier Baez. So, the Mets got Javier Baez, a shortstop, who will probably end up sliding over to second base when Francisco Lindor comes over. Now, Baez is a pending free agent, but he is very good friends with the aforementioned Francisco Lindor, so the Mets might be hoping to sign him to a long-term extension after the season comes to an end. So he is having a great year. He is hitting for solid power and good average. Now, they also got right-handed pitcher Trevor Williams in this deal, and Williams is likely going to serve as an innings eater for now until DeGrom and Syndergaard are both ready to return from their respective injuries. So that will be interesting. Now, in exchange for these 2, the Chicago Cubs would acquire outfield prospect Pete Crow Armstrong. Now, Crow Armstrong, he was a first-round pick last year in 2020, and he was regarded as probably the best pure hitting prospect in the 2020 draft. Now, he steps in as the Cubs' 6th prospect now. Now, there is some risk with him. He only appeared in 6 games this year before he tore his labrum in his shoulder, so he's done for the year. Obviously, he didn't play last year due to a minor league ending viral illness, so he's still a very high upside player. I'm happy to see him out of the NL East, but the real question is, will Baez re-sign with the Mets? The next big trade was one of the, deadline beaters, as we saw San Francisco acquire Kris Bryant. So Third baseman outfielder Kris Bryant is a pending free agent after the season, and he had a great run in Chicago, but his time was clearly up. He knew it was up. He did great in Chicago. He helped them get a World Series, so you can never complain about that. He can play first base, third base, and left field, and he will be a starter for the Giants as they hope that they can recapture his early season magic. He had an abysmal June, but he did look good in July, so he definitely should slot in. Whether it's a corner infield spot or in the outfield, it's going to depend. They're probably going to give him 85-90% of the starts. And this is a good team, but they do have a lot of older players who are injury prone. Now, in exchange for him, the Cubs got a pair of prospects, or a pair of players, and the first one we'll discuss is outfielder Alex Canario, and Canario slots in as the Cubs' 7th prospect. Now, he has a great arm, and he has above average power. He is probably a couple of years away from the majors, but he should be well worth the wait. They also got right-handed pitcher Caleb Killian, and Killian becomes the Cubs' 16th ranked prospect. He has the potential to be a starter at the major league level very soon, hopefully. He has a healthy mix of pitches, so the Cubs definitely got some good stuff in exchange for a player that probably was not going to re-sign. So next, we have a swap between the two Chicago teams as the White Sox got right-handed pitcher Craig Kimbrel in exchange for 2 players. And Craig Kimbrel, he is a solid closer who has had postseason success in the past. He is 33 years old, and he has a mutual option for the 2022 season. However, he figures to either move to a setup role or a co-closer role, with Liam Hendriks already occupying a closer role for the White Sox. So, what did they give up for him? Well, they gave up second baseman Nick Madrigal and another relief pitcher. So, literally, Nick Madrigal is a guy who I'm very high on, but if you've listened to previous videos, you know I'm an old school type of player, baseball fan. I like the contact. I like the guy who can hit in the mid, has potential to hit like 330, 340. He doesn't have a lot of power. He has a lot of speed. So he's an old school guy. So seeing the White Sox with Tony La Russa give up on him is a little concerning, but he's definitely a good player. He's out for the rest of the year after having surgery, so hopefully he'll be back for 2022 as the season begins. But the real question is, where do the Cubs value him? Now, they also got right-handed pitcher Cody Heuer, and Heuer, he is a reliever. He has a high contact or a high strikeout rate, but his ERA is not the best. He should be given a chance to compete for a save or two this season, just judging by the stage of Chicago's bullpen, the state of Chicago's bullpen. Next, we have the 5th and final, what I would call blockbuster trade, as Toronto got starting pitcher Jose Berrios from Minnesota in exchange for 2 big prospects. So Toronto, with their right-handed pitcher Jose Berrios, he is having a career year this year, and he should be able to help Toronto make a run for the AL East, and maybe even a run at the pennant. We will see. Now, he has been a reliable inning eater his whole career, and he has been one again this year. This will be a welcome sign for Toronto's bullpen that has really had a lot to go out and pitch a lot this year. Now, his career best ERA is a little misleading because the AL Central is the AL Central, and he's going to the AL East, so there's a couple of red flags there, but I don't want to take anything away from him. He's having a career year. In exchange for him, Minnesota got a pair of top prospects. The first one we'll look at is shortstop outfielder Austin Martin, and Martin, who was the 5th overall pick last year, steps in as Minnesota's 2nd ranked prospect. He has great hitting skills, but his arm has scared some scouts in the past. It's unknown where he's going to fit in the majors. Will he be a third baseman? Will he play shortstop? Probably. He really can't play in the outfield long term, a lot of scouts fear. Now, they also got right-handed pitcher Simeon Woods Richardson. Now, he steps in as the Twins' 3rd prospect, and he has 4 pitches, and they are all very polished. His changeup is probably his best pitch. He's probably not too far away from the majors. So Minnesota definitely has some good players that they got in exchange for Berrios, who's under control through the 2022 season. Next, we have the San Diego Padres acquiring right-handed pitcher Daniel Hudson from the Washington Nationals in exchange for 2 players. And Hudson is a solid arm for San Diego to add to their bullpen. He probably won't be closing many games, but he should be able to pitch during some key moments. Now, in exchange for him, Washington got 2 players. The first one we'll look at is right-handed pitching prospect Mason Thompson. And Thompson slots in as Washington's 16th ranked prospect. He has dealt with a lot of injuries in the past, which have turned him from a starter to a bullpen piece, but he looks to be a potential setup man for the future. Now, other than that, they also got shortstop Jordy Barley, and Barley steps in as Washington's 28th prospect. He is a very high run tool, but other than that, he does not impress too much. Now, Washington probably hopes that they can turn him into the next Trey Turner, but he doesn't have the contact skills that Turner had when he was included as a player to be named later in a trade that Washington made, so we'll have to see. But to me, he has the potential to be, at worst, like a pinch runner. Next, we have the Houston Astros making a trade with Cleveland. So Houston got right-handed pitcher Phil Maton, and Maton is a high strikeout reliever in the majors right now. He figures to serve in a long relief role for Houston as they looked to revamp their bullpen at the deadline and definitely did so. They also got catcher Yanier Diaz, and Diaz becomes Houston's 29th prospect right now. He has been hitting well in the minors this year, but he's a little too swing happy to make a debut right now, and he probably will have to fix that to make an impact at the major league level. Now, in exchange for him, Cleveland, the seller, surprisingly got a player that's probably more of a MLB-ready player. He's in the majors, obviously, right now, in outfielder Myles Straw. Now, Straw, he's been a decent major leaguer, but he is top tier when it comes to speed and defense. So he's the type of guy that you want on your team. You can bat him leadoff if you need to, but you're better off putting him like 8th and having him steal a few bases here and there. He's a good player, more for an actual team than a fantasy lineup. He could challenge the league lead in stolen bases if he is given the green light, but he has little to no power, so that's probably why Houston was willing to give up on him. The next trade we're going to look at saw Atlanta acquire Richard Rodriguez from Pittsburgh in exchange for 2 righties. Now, right-handed pitcher Richard Rodriguez is obviously a bullpen piece, and he figures to serve as a co-closer alongside Will Smith. He is under club control through the 2023 season, and he could be the closer if Smith walks. In exchange for him, Pittsburgh got, like I said, a pair of righties. The first one we'll look at is Bryce Wilson. Wilson has been a decent pitcher, but he's in the minors right now. He should be given an opportunity in the future, though. They also got Ricky DeVito, and DeVito is a starting pitcher in high A right now, so you never know with these young pitchers in high A what they're going to be. Next, we have St. Louis acquiring left-handed pitcher Jay Happ from Minnesota in exchange for a pair of pitchers. So Jay Happ has not done too well this year, and it looks as if he's just going to serve as an innings eater for the next month or so while the team waits for a couple of their injured stars to come back. He does have postseason experience. He does have a World Series ring, so maybe they're hoping he can help spark them. In exchange for him, Minnesota got a pair of pitchers. The first one we'll look at is right-handed pitcher John Gant. And Gant is a decent pitcher who has a 3.5 ERA, but his underlying stats are a little more concerning. He should be a decent piece for the rest of the year for the Twins, though. They also got left-handed pitcher Evan Sisk, and Sisk is a high strikeout pitcher who will probably be moved to a bullpen role soon, which seems to better suit what he brings to the table. Next, we have another trade with the Cardinals as they got another veteran lefty for the rotation in Jon Lester from Washington. Now, Lester is an older pitcher on a one-year deal, and this isn't the Lester of the past, but he can still eat innings, and he provides some postseason success. Now, Washington, in exchange for him, got outfield prospect Lane Thomas, and Thomas can play all 3 of the outfield spots, and he has had success in the past as a minor leaguer. But he has not found success when he's been brought up to the majors, so we'll have to see what happens with him. Next, we have Atlanta acquiring an outfielder in Jorge Soler from Kansas City. Now, Soler has been hot lately. He has massive power potential, but he strikes out a ton. He is a free agent after a year. This is a high-risk, high-reward move for Atlanta as they look to possibly make a run at the NL East. Now, in exchange for him, Kansas City got right-handed pitcher Casey Click, and Click is the 24th prospect in Kansas City's system. He's had a high strikeout potential, and he could be a closer if he makes it to the majors. Next, we have the Oakland Athletics getting a pair of players from Washington. Now, the first one that they got was catcher Yan Gomes, and Gomes is a solid veteran who brings a lot of experience behind the plate. He will serve as Oakland's backup catcher. They also got utility man Josh Harrison, who can play pretty much everywhere except shortstop and probably not first base. So he's the type of guy that, while he's hot right now, he's probably more of a guy that you're going to have on the bench and hope to use him in the playoffs and a couple pinch opportunities, but you don't want him starting for you too much. Now, Washington got three players in exchange. The first one we'll look at is catcher Drew Millis, and Millis is Washington's 24th prospect. He is known for his arm and defensive skills. He has decent power and okay contact, so don't expect too much from him. They also got right-handed pitcher Richard Gusish, and Gush is Washington's 30th prospect. He will be a reliever at the major league level as he gets strikeouts, but he walks a ton. He has an amazing slider as well. They also got right-handed pitchers Seth Schumann, and Schumann is a decent minor leaguer, and it looks like he will continue to be a starting pitcher in the minors. Next, we have my Phillies finally making a deal as they got three righties in exchange for three righties from Texas. The first one that we're going to look at is Kyle Gibson. So Gibson started off the 2021 season red hot, but he has cooled off recently. He is under club control through the 2022 season, so at least you get him for a year and a half. He's on a 1-year rental. The underlying numbers are a little concerning, but he did make his first start in Philadelphia yesterday, and he looked pretty good. Now, Ian Kennedy is a former starter who now serves as a reliever. He will be a welcomed addition to Philly's ailing bullpen, and he will probably serve as a closer. He did go out in the 9th inning yesterday, so there's that. Lastly, they also got Hans Krosch, and Krosch fits in as Philly's 4th prospect. He's an entertaining pitcher to watch. Seriously, watch him. He talks to himself. He's one of those old school guys, but he probably figures to serve more in a bullpen role in the future. He has had some injury concerns in the past. He opted out of 2020, so there are still some things to see with him. Now, in exchange for him, these three players, Texas got three righties of their own. The first one to look at is former top prospect Spencer Howard, who used to be a top 50 prospect in the majors, but he has struggled in limited appearances over the past few years for Philly. He should be put in Texas's rotation, at least for now. They also got Kevin Gowdy, who has dealt with numerous injuries in the past, which have really caused him to plummet in prospect rankings. He was I believe he was a top 100 prospect right after the draft, but he has plummeted big time due to injuries, which included Tommy John. So, never good when a pitcher has had Tommy John in the past. There's potential, but time is running out for him. Lastly, they got Josh Gessner, and Gessner is a decent prospect, but he is not ranked in Texas's top 30. None of them are. Gowdy due to injury, Gessner due to just not being there, and Howard has graduated. So, next, we have the San Francisco Giants, who got left-handed pitcher Tony Watson from the Angels. Now, Watson returns to San Francisco, and he should serve as a high-leverage reliever. He played well in San Francisco over the past 3 years, but he's only been okay so far in 2021. In exchange for him, the Angels got a trio of pitchers. The first one we'll look at is left-handed pitcher Sam Selman. And Selman, he has bounced between the majors and the minors this year, appearing in 7 games at the major league level so far. He should get a few appearances out of the bullpen. They also got right-handed pitcher Jose Marte, and Marte was converted to a reliever prior to the year. He's looked good so far in Double-A. Lastly, they got righty Yvonne Armstrong, and Armstrong has looked good in Low-A this year, and he should be in line for a promotion soon. Maybe moving to Los Angeles' system will get him promoted to High A. Then we have the Phillies acquiring shortstop Freddy Galvis. So Galvis, he's an average hitter, more known for his defense than anything else. He should earn starts in Philly, especially with how Didi's been playing recently. In exchange for him, Baltimore got right-handed pitcher Tyler Birch. Birch, he's been in High A recently, and he's been compiling decent strikeout numbers, but he looks to be a future reliever. Next, we have San Diego acquiring more outfield depth, as they got outfielder Jake Marisnick, and Marisnick should continue to serve as a bench outfielder for this team, as he provides another somewhat veteran player as they attempt to make another deep run in the playoffs. In exchange for him, the Chicago Cubs got right-handed pitcher Anderson Espinoza, and Espinoza is a guy who used to be a top 50 prospect, but he has fallen dramatically due to injuries. The Cubs, they have a very risky pickup here, but if he stays healthy, it can prove to be a stellar acquisition. The last 2 moves we're going to look at involve the Atlanta team acquiring a pair of outfielders. This one saw them get Eddie Rosario from Cleveland in exchange for Pablo Sandoval. So, Rosario, he's been out with an abdominal injury. He should be able to return in a couple of weeks by the middle of August. We will see. When he does, he should serve as Atlanta's starting left fielder, but he has really struggled this year. Now, in exchange for him, Cleveland got first baseman, third baseman Pablo Sandoval. The Panda, he's on a cheap contract. He barely made the Atlanta team out of training camp, so we'll have to see. He should be used as an occasional pinch hitter. He should DH a few times. He could give Jose Ramirez a day off in the field. Nothing too exciting. Lastly, we have Atlanta getting Adam Duvall from Miami. Now, Duvall should serve as a solid bench bat for the team, and he has good power, but he's not a full-time starter. He spent some time in Atlanta recently, so he does know the coaching staff, and he does know a lot of the players. In exchange for him, Miami got catcher Alex Jackson. And Jackson, he was just clearly in need of a change of scenery, as he struggled immensely in Atlanta this year. He should serve as the backup catcher for the Marlins. So these were all the trades, the major trades that were made on the actual day of the deadline itself, July 30th. There will be some more pinned to the comments below. I will have the first part, which was the 15th to 29th trades, linked in the description below. Again, hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your day.